Hi, everyone. I'm Tran Bowie. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. So college can be overwhelming, everything from the application process to choosing the right college and then actually being successful once you get there. So tonight we have a very special guest who is going to help us with all of that. This is Education Innovations founder and CEO, Amour Carthy. Hi, how are you?
I'm well. Thank you for having me today.
Yes, I'm so fascinated because I have a son who is in high school. He's still a freshman, but we're already starting to think about college. So this is perfect timing for me too, so I can kind of be ahead of the game. So before we start, I have to talk about your credentials because this is really impressive. You're not just someone out there like, hey, let me help you with your college plans. You actually know what you're talking about. And I want to say that Amour was a first generation college graduate with a bachelor's degree from Spelman, a master's from Temple University, and a master of education from Harvard. Holy cow, that's amazing. So you not only know college, you have actually succeeded in college. And so now you get to pass on that knowledge. Let's just start from the beginning. When should we start thinking about looking into colleges?
You should actually start thinking about looking into colleges, say around middle school, because
Okay,
once you get to high school, ninth grade through 12th grade, that's what the colleges look for. They look at all your grades from them. Those are what counts. So in middle school, you should start thinking about it. You don't have to necessarily know exactly what colleges you're interested in, but have the idea that you're interested in them and just have some college names in your head.
Okay, so yes, so it's good to start talking about it. And that's something I didn't know because sometimes you think it's a little too soon. And for those of you who are just joining us, thank you so much for joining us. And if you have any questions, like now is the great time to start asking them. Get all this information in. All right, so when you start thinking about it, when do you start going after the application, start looking into now collecting the applications?
So you don't necessarily start collecting the applications or actually start thinking about that really till your junior year.
Okay.
It's ninth through 12th grade. What you're doing is you're building up your resume, and that's your academic credentials, your after school activities, and trying to develop who you are. Because what they're looking for is not just great students, but someone who is well rounded and then has a passion for something. You don't necessarily, maybe you play the guitar, but whatever it is, you should be passionate about it. It shouldn't just be solely about getting grades.
Well, that was perfect timing. There is my son who's going to college. He's walking by. You should listen in on this. So when do we start the touring? Because I know that a lot of people don't even wait until their senior year. Can we start doing it now?
Absolutely. You can start your touring as soon as you want to, even as early as middle school. You can even start in ninth grade. That's when I first went on my college tour. I went to Hampton University. I was from California and I visited Virginia. And that actually spurred me to really work hard in high school, because after that visit, I got to see what classes were like, what campuses were like. So you definitely want to think about visiting colleges early. And if you can, if you have someone in your family or know someone in your neighborhood who's at college, it's always good to actually sit in a class so you can see what it's like.
Wow. And it is super easy to schedule all these?
Well, if you have a college counselor like me, I'll find someone for you.
Okay, so you do need to go to your college counselor. And then let's talk about what would set you apart. So when you're putting together your resume and getting ready for the application process, like what do you need to start doing to set yourself apart from the others?
So the biggest thing is, of course, doing well in school, having activities that show your leadership ability. So if you are a member of a club, what have you done to help the club? Do you organize it? Do you put on events, things of that nature? Do you volunteer in the community to help people that may be needy? Are you into music and you put on live concerts, or you create content? What sets you apart is showing your passion and being able to tell your story, and not just being somebody who just only gets good grades. Because there are plenty of people who just get straight A's but don't do anything else,
Right.
and that's not going to contribute to the college community. And so a lot of those people, sometimes they get rejected and they wonder why they are getting rejected with such high grades.
Does it matter then if they started doing that in middle school, or if they were a late starter and they didn't start doing those extra things until high school?
No, it doesn't matter, because like I said, when colleges look at the transcripts and what you're doing, they look from ninth grade all the way forward to 12th grade. So what you did in middle school, kind of, they don't look at it. So
Okay.
it's ninth grade to 12th grade. That's all they're looking at it. So if you started great, but it's not, they're not going to look at it. So you really want to have something on your resume, telling what you did besides getting good grades.
Okay. And do you need to know when you do apply, do you need to know what your major is going to be? Because I remember when I was, looking into colleges, I really didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. So is that really important at that stage?
It's not important at all, because that is where you are going to figure out what you want to do. It's exploration time. Even though it's a large sticker tag, you still need to think about the environment. And that's where a college coach like me comes in. What kind of environment do you want to be in? Do you want to be in a large college where you can learn, or do you like to have small environments? So you don't have to know what you want to be. You know that you are going there to get an education to give you the preparation for what you want to do when you figure it out. And so a college education will set you apart from others, just because you have that wherewithal to go through school and then finish it.
And let's talk about that. I mean, you've gone to some prestigious colleges. So if we're not able to get into a Spelman or a Harvard, what does it really, like in the end, does it matter if you are not able to get into one of the Ivy League schools? Does it matter if it's a small private school?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't matter at all. What matters is that you actually learn and you gain the skills in order to do well after college. The other thing is there are ways to get into high top-notch schools. You might not necessarily get in there right away. So if this is your dream to go to an Ivy League, maybe you didn't do so well in high school. Maybe you want to go to community college and, you want to do well in community college to show that you can do the work and then transfer in. A lot of people don't think about transferring in or applying once they have their community college coursework in. That's another way to prove yourself if that is your dream. Liberal arts colleges, small colleges, what you want to do is you're trying to go to a college that will help you gain the skills that you need and open up your network that you don't already have. So for example, if you are, for example, like you're into the media, you wouldn't necessarily I wouldn't steer you towards going to a school that doesn't have that thing. For example, Clark Atlanta University in Atlanta is known for media. So I would steer you towards there. Now, if you don't have the grades to get in, I'd send you to another school maybe to start first. And there's other things that you can do to actually get to the college that you want, even starting, you have to prepare for it in middle school. So for example, once you get in ninth grade, if you are doing well, you should think about doing a dual program with a college where you can earn college credit. So like, for example, you take an English class at a college. If you get the grade there, so you don't have to take an AP, and it shows already on a college transcript that you can do the college work.
Wow. No, that's great, because my son started doing that in ninth grade, and I had actually, was not very familiar with that. Let's talk about some of the mistakes that kids make in preparing or not preparing for college.
So the biggest thing is just not knowing how to manage their time and how to actually learn. So, they just want to keep going for the grades. Yes, you can go for the grades, but have you mastered the information? Do you understand the information? Okay. Do you manage your time properly? If you have a paper that is due in a month, do you wait a week before it's due? Because you're going to have tons of papers that you're going to have in college. So why not prepare for that by doing well in high school and, prepping yourself for it? To me, it's like a sport, right? Proper preparation prevents poor performance. If you're going to perform well, you better be used to it. So why not prepare in high school?
Right. And it's also just teaching them to be just a more organized adult by learning all that stuff now. They're not having to just learn it in college. And let's talk about, once you get to college, what do we need to be successful? Because I know that there are a lot, that's the allure of being on your own, the allure of other things happening and extracurricular activities. What do you tell students when they get to college? Now you've actually made it in. How are you going to succeed when you get there?
Now you have to work.
Right.
You have to do the work. But the biggest thing that students don't do when they get to college is that they don't keep track of the courses that they need to graduate. And so they end up spending so longer than 4 years in college, which ends up costing them a lot more. So the minute that you walk on campus, you need to figure out, okay, your core courses, your first 2 years. Everyone has to take a basic course load. You need to make sure that you take that and you keep with that. So after your 2 years and you declare your major, what are the next courses that you need to finish your major so that you can finish on time?
Yeah.
So meeting with your counselor, your college counselor, and keeping track of your coursework that you need to graduate is the biggest thing that I would tell people. But the other thing that I would tell college students is don't be extreme. Like I always see like the extreme when I was working out of college. They would either party too much or study too much. You need to have a balance. Yes, party, but also study in order to, have balance.
Well, I think they would like to hear that too, because I was going to say you had mentioned extracurricular activities and volunteer work and all those things in middle school. How important is it now in college? And yes, do they have time to do all that?
So in college, it's different for different people. And right now with the COVID-19, a lot of people losing jobs, parents losing jobs. You have to decide for yourself if you really want this. For example, when I was in my 12th grade year, my dad got laid off from his job after working 21 years. This was in my senior year. So they didn't want to tell me that they didn't have all the money to pay for my college. But once they told me, I was just like, you know what? My parents said I should go to community college. For me, I worked very hard and I said, no, all I need is your support, because I was willing to work for, my college degree. So what I did was I just had like the first semester paid for. I figured I could work, any kind of jobs that I could get. So I worked 2 to 3 jobs actually, to get through school at the same time. And what happens is professors see that you are working hard, and sometimes they, give you scholarships or allow you to research for them. And that's what happened with me. You work hard, people notice it. But the question is, to me, you have to want it.
Right.
If you're not willing to work, meaning like also work outside of school, because it's different now. So students don't have to get a job off campus. They could get a job on their computer.
Right. And what is the inside scoop to getting financial aid and grants and scholarships? Because I feel like there are a lot of opportunities out there, but we just don't know how to find them.
So there's a lot of apps and different websites out there for getting college scholarships, and that's great. But the biggest thing that, a lot of people don't want to hear, but it's the truth, is when you are going into your freshman year in college, nobody knows you. Mm-hmm. So why would I give money to you if I don't even know that you can do well in your freshman year of college? So what happens is, if you do your freshman year in college, you do well, then more opportunities open up and then scholarships are available. So there's a lot more money that is given after your freshman year, going into your sophomore year rather than your freshman year. So don't be discouraged if you don't get a lot of scholarships your freshman year. I stayed up till 4 a.m. during my senior year writing for scholarships. I didn't get as much as I wanted, but I got a few. But again, like I said, after my freshman year, I worked hard. Professors saw me. They would suggest me for scholarships.
Okay, that's good to know. I never even thought about that because you're right. They don't know who you are yet, and you do kind of have to prove yourself. So let me just say, now we are finished with college. We're getting out. I think that there are a lot of people who are great students who do really well in school. That's where they thrive. But then once they get out into the real world, they need a little bit of help. So what is your advice for them?
Don't wait till you get out into the real world. You have to actually start. This is different than our time period. Once again, you need to start building your skills while you're in college. So I actually say that it's really good if you can, that you have a job outside of college. For me, I used to, one of my jobs was I used to be a waitress. You know, I didn't think it was a really big deal, but it actually is a big deal because it builds communication skills.
Mm-hmm.
And then also knowing people's personalities and how to, you know, have good customer service. So that helped me. But when you are preparing for life after college, you need to start looking for a job even before you graduate from college. Okay. So that means that you need to have a mentor if you can. So if you think you're going to go into a field, start by your sophomore year. If you admire somebody professionally, reach out to them. Most people don't have young people in college reaching out to them. You know, get a mentor, or, you know, say, hey, do you need help with your paperwork or anything like that? Because after you start developing those relationships and it's genuine and you keep helping them, then they'll be able to open up and then share with you lots of skills.
Well, we have so much access now because of the internet and social media. We have so much access to information. I mean, I can just go on Google. What do I need to do to prepare for college? We can do that on our own. Why go to a professional like you? I feel like I've learned so much more in talking to you than if I just did that Google search.
Well, yes, you can do it by yourself, but there's nothing better than having a college coach like me, because I help you get your college strategy together, meaning that, you know, what are we going to do? So if you're in ninth grade, you have a, you know, kid in ninth grade, what are we going to do? So what activities do you like to do? I help you strategically plan. Second of all, I help to encourage you when you may not feel that you can do it. But then I also give you actionable steps. So it's best to hire somebody like me, because as a parent, you don't have to get angry. You already have a schedule with somebody, and then you can say, okay, I'm going to have you meet with Amour. She's going to be your college coach. We know it's early, it's ninth grade, but she's going to talk to you about like what you like to do. How do you like to learn? What's your style of learning? So that I could slowly try to, you know, give some activities and to help your child build up their skills.
Well, that's awesome. And you're right. Like, they are going to listen to you more than they will listen to their parents. And I love the actionable items, because, you know, what you find online is it's so broad. It's for everyone. So you're focusing in. It's very customized and very personal. So thank you
Absolutely.
so much for all this information. And anyone out there who's watching, we posted the information above. Definitely give Amour a call now. I think that this is a perfect time because you're home. So you have more time to focus on this and just kind of pick your brain and try to figure out like when they should start. And now might be a really good time to get with those students and get their take on preparing for college. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. Have a great night.
Thank you.